Welcome back to GTD. We have a 2-for-1 with our NASCAR episode. We're late in the week, so we're just going to knock out the review and the preview. That's Michigan and the highly anticipated Mexico City. Can't wait to talk about that. But we can't move along without talking about Michigan, the Irish Hills. Ooh, what a race. What are your first thoughts?
My first thoughts are, when will Carson Hocevar finally win a race? It feels... Have you seen the 2004 Casey Kane comparisons that are going around? Because those feel super accurate. Yes. And the guy, I've never felt so close and so far from being correct with a race pick. He was in the lead. He had the lead late, but was clearly not going to make it on fuel. And even if he could have made it on fuel, probably would have restarted in the back half of the top 10. And then maybe that tire goes down even quicker if he's pushing harder. Either way, just classic 2025 Carson Hocevar, where he's running right up at the front, and then something goes wrong. And then your race pick was super close as well. I think if it was just all level playing field, I think Chris Buescher is definitely right up there to win this race, and he still was in the end as well. I think he, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, maybe an argument for Chase Elliott in stage 2 were probably the fastest cars of the day. And so you picked one of the fastest cars, didn't come through. I picked a great strategy at the end, and tire went down. It feels like we're so close for that next correct race pick on this year, just can't quite get it. But what were your initial impressions from what you saw? And tell me a little bit about Chris Buescher, how you were feeling watching that.
Well, I'll start with Chris Buescher. I think he was up there in stage 1, was having a really good race. And then this was kind of a perfect miss. We talked about, Nashville was really strategy heavy and strategy forward. Like, if you didn't have the perfect strategy, you just weren't in the top 5 at the end. This was kind of a great mix of both. You had everything. You had fast cars on track going over 200 miles an hour. You had strategy. You had different lanes you could run. You had side drafting, drafting to get to the guy in front of you. It was just a perfect, I think this is the best all around. Maybe Atlanta. I think this was very similar to the Atlanta race we had earlier this season. I think those two are the most complete races. But even Atlanta, I don't think had as much strategy as Michigan did with fuel. And it's I feel like fuel strategy has just been beaten down our throats. I mean, they were in Brad Keselowski's car audio, Amazon Prime was, for the call. And they said, driver, start your engines. He starts it, shuts it down. And in his car audio, before the race is starting, they're going, all right, save fuel, manage your fuel, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they're not even rolling yet. Are we that into it? But I get they have to be, because you saw what happened with Hocevar and Larson and all those guys at the end, Byron, who just ran out of fuel. But yeah, the racing in Michigan was incredible. I loved how effective the side draft was. It didn't feel like dirty air was much of an issue. And that kind of gives credit to the argument of horsepower, because the cars are going faster here. So they can push through that dirty air a little bit, if that makes sense. So that kind of almost horsepower needs to be there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a track that I think the 550 horsepower days really ruined me on Michigan for a long time, because there were quite a few years where I dreaded coming to this place because the racing was just so awful. And now you look at the racing we're getting with the next gen car, and this year specifically. Am I about to start campaigning for 2 Michigan dates on the calendar again? That was a great race. And I would love to see more of that. But let's talk about the winner. Denny Hamlin, obviously very savvy driver, most experienced guy in the field, brings it home, perfect fuel strategy, kept his tires intact. This is one of the most measured drivers of all 36 in NASCAR right now. And just showed it, and then immediately ran out of fuel trying to do a burnout in turn 4, which I thought was a little funny, but still great put together from Denny Hamlin. And did you hear the Yahoo he gave over the radio after the race?
I was wondering, the announcers didn't talk about it. No one talked about it. Seemingly no one on social media heard it, but he just goes, Yahoo! And it's
that was funny.
Perfectly, because it's down. Yeah, it's down the thing. I didn't know who it was at first. I don't know if it was him or someone in his pit box or whatever, but yeah, that was good self-awareness, if he had been I don't know what Sports Clip's slogan is. I know they have one, MVP haircuts, or
I have no idea.
To get a cut. I don't know.
What's the national debt relief slogan? Just please help.
Oh, he's got a commercial for that one, actually.
Yeah, I saw that during the race.
You're never safe. I think it's you're never safe or something like that, which is kind of scary. But you're selling
That's
insurance.
just being around Carson Hocevar.
You're never safe. Yeah, it should just put that, not even on his bumper, just put it on the front of his car, because that's the new
windshield banner. Instead of Hocevar, it just says that.
You're never safe. Grim Reaper. But yeah, lots of great racing. I think. All right. Do I want to let you go first? No, I'm going to go first. Screw it. Okay. We have to talk about the ginormous elephant in the room, and that's Alan Gustafson. And
I've been waiting for this for 4 days, everyone. Before Keegan gets going, I've been waiting to hear this for 4 days.
Okay, not even this race. It's been all season. Okay, and I think I have come up with it. I think I have the answer right now. I will say I am not mad at the initial strategy call to stay out on old tires. He's doing something different. He doesn't do that very often. Credit to him. I don't care. Yes, was it the right move? Obviously not. Hindsight's 2020. I don't fault that at all. However, when you make that move, you have to stick with it. You can't immediately just go, well, screw it. We messed up. That's on us. I get it. You don't have, and they said, oh, well, Seabell's got the win that he can do that. Okay. You're the 9 car Chase Elliott for Hendrick. You should be driving and making strategy calls like you have a win, like you can compete. To me, that strategy call echoed the lack of confidence in this team, which is scary for the 9 team. If you have a lack of confidence as Chase Elliott for Hendrick, and it's echoing in races and costing you what could have been a race win because he had the equipment in the car this week, that's scary. And you don't need a guy constantly second-guessing himself on the booth, which seems like Alan Gustafson has done all year. He's constantly second-guessing himself. I think Las Vegas was another race. He made a bold strategy move and then immediately, switched gears and just completely, screwed himself for the race. I don't get it. He's making wrong calls and then he's making different calls, which are fine, and then not following through with them. Like, if you make a different call, you have to see it through. If it doesn't work out, all right, cool, whatever. But you have to at least make sure it doesn't work out.
Yeah, that team just is not firing, much less, not even all cylinders, not even any cylinders right now. It's not working out for them at all. The winning speed is just not there. And when you're a Hendrick Motorsports team, I don't care what position in points you are, frankly. NASCAR has set up a system where points don't matter. If you're going to go, okay, I'm going to go points racing all year, guess what? You're not going to win anything of note ever. And I get everyone who's saying, everyone who's saying, oh, well, you can't really complain too much because, he's top 5 in points right now. And that is true. He's 5th in points. And he's running solid every week. He's top 15 every week. Guess what? Once you get to the playoffs, that doesn't matter at all. You're going to be knocked out in the second round because other people are going to win. Other people are going to have better points days than you because they have that winning speed, and you're never going to win anything. You're going to be permanently stuck behind Kyle Larson and William Byron, and I don't know what the plan is with the 9 team. You can't just keep doing the same thing and expect it to suddenly start working. We know Chase Elliott has speed. We saw him out front at Michigan. He used that speed. We know he's great on the short flat tracks with the high tire wear. He's great at those places. Showed at COTA this year. He still has the road course speed. Chase Elliott is not suddenly slow. So something in the mentality or the preparation for that 9 team is not working. And I don't know what it is, but they need to change it really soon if they're going to turn this around and actually act like a championship contender, which if you're a Hendrick Motorsports driver, you need to be.
Yeah. And that's why it's frustrating because it feels like they're just like this close to competing like Kyle Larson and William Byron. And it feels like they're just 1 or 2 moves away of a season, not even in a race, just the whole season to be having at least 2 wins here or, a win here and a win there or 3 to 4 wins. And they're just so close. And they just haven't put a complete race together. And that's what's frustrating is that you've kind of seen this happen over the year and fans are obviously, and we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but no one really seems to be putting Gustafson under pressure. Like, hey man, we gotta figure this out. Like Rudy Fugle, you have that guy as a resource and a guy you can talk to. He's one of the best at making, we called it mid-game adjustments. We've talked about that on this show a lot mostly with other sports, but he's the best at making mid-game or mid-race adjustments. Like you have that to look at, and then you just kind of, it's like you write a book down 3 weeks before you get to the racetrack and you go, we're just going to do this. Like, who cares if the track's hotter or colder than what I have written in my book? I think this is going to work, and we're going to do this 3 weeks out of the race. And you just don't adjust in the weekend, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah, and you talk about drawing off your team. You mentioned Rudy Fugle and William Byron. Even if you're not confident in the mid-race adjustments, you have Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels, who are one of the best teams in the garage at setting up a car to just be out and out fast. And they can't, It doesn't seem like they're working off them either. But I also think we need to talk about the fourth Hendrick car, and yes, I am using that phrase. It's Alex Bowman, a guy that I was really high on coming into this year, and I picked him to win multiple races, picked him to win the Coke 600 that week, and the last 10 weeks have been a disaster for the 48 team. Of those last 10 races, he has 7 finishes of 27th or worse, and 5 of them are 30th or worse, 35th or worse, actually, across those races. Has made mistakes himself. Look at the Coke 600, broke a toe link, has had reliability issues. Look at Bristol, those kind of races. It's all falling apart for the 48 right now, whether it's the team, whether it's the car, Alex himself, some races. I don't know what they can do to fix it, but they need to turn it around right now because Bowman is now just 2 spots above the cut line. He is the car ahead of Ryan Preece, who is tied for the last playoff spot right now. And Bowman is only 13 points to the good for the playoff pitcher. And this is a guy we were talking about just a couple months ago, was top 3, top 4 in the regular season standings. So it's just been a disaster for the 48 team, and I don't know what they can do about it, but you need to start turning it around. The summer is usually for this 48 team, even back when it was Jimmy Johnson, the 48 has never really been elite over the summer. I know Alex Bowman got the Chicago win last year, but usually this guy really picks it up towards the end of the year, and he might not get the opportunity to this year because you're going to road courses. You're going to have surprise winners at SVG, at AJ Allmendinger. Who knows who's going to win Daytona when we go there? So you can't hang out 1 or 2 spots above that cut line if you're Bowman. They need to turn it around quickly.
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't realize the number until you said it. The numbers were that bad recently. I know he slid down the leaderboard as far as points, but yeah, I guess putting it like that, and I hope I mean, I think he's okay. I haven't heard anything otherwise, but hard hit. He walked away.
He is okay.
Was
yes.
seemingly fine after the race. I know he was okay, but sometimes things happen later down the week. But it's
thankfully too because he's been injured a lot. It feels like recently.
Yeah, his back. I mean, as soon as he hit the wall, I was like, oh, that's not good for his back. And he's had the concussion issues. But yeah, glad he's all right. But yeah, it's almost echoing the same conversation we had at this point last year. And then he goes and wins Chicago, and then he goes and rolls into the playoffs, and he's one of the best cars in the playoffs until he gets DQ'd at Charlotte. So I don't necessarily want to start talking like hot seat or whatever, but
I'm not saying hot seat. I don't think hot seat at all. He definitely deserves to be in that seat, but I am saying if you're giving me the 9 car in the 48, I'm more likely to hit the panic button on the 48 right now.
Yeah, I am too, because I think the 9 car is kind of in a spot to where he can still comfortably make the playoffs, and then maybe like Joey Logano did last year, get hot in the playoffs and just see where you go from there. Whereas the 48's going to have to grind. Like Daytona is probably going to be like he's probably going to have to be looking at points the whole time. Unlike Chase Elliott, where if he goes out and finishes top 15 in stage 2, he locks it up and he's good or whatever without a win. But the 48 is probably going to be point watching quite a bit that race if things continue and he doesn't get a win. And I think just I think going to Mexico will kind of make Chicago a better race because what do you have, 2 races in between the 2 or 3? It can't be more than 3. I know you have Atlanta and Pocono, or Pocono then Atlanta, but I think after Atlanta, Chicago.
Yeah,
I think you go
it's Mexico, Pocono, Atlanta, Chicago.
Yeah, so I think that'll make the Chicago race a tighter race throughout the pack, just because all the preparation they're doing for a track they've never been to in the simulators and whatnot, just getting ready for a road course, and then going to a road course, doing all weekend there, and then 2 weeks later going to yet another road course. That's kind of like a really close time frame, and I think that'll make the field tighter. So
yeah,
it'll make Chicago really competitive, and there's a good chance you'll have a wild card other than Allmendinger or SVG, someone like Zane Smith or somebody who can just pop up and win that race.
Yeah, and now we are 2 races out from the in-season tournament starting, so the seeding is done based off best finish over this 3-race stretch. So if you want to see what the current seeding would be, just check out the Michigan race results, because that's how it's working apparently. I know a lot of drivers were confused about that, but once we get into the in-season tournament, I think this is something interesting, including Mexico, which I know is just a seeding race, but 3 of the next 5 races are road courses. So we've been talking about that playoff line a lot today. How much is that going to move over the next month and a bit? Because you could potentially see, there's a world where I could see SVG, AJ Allmendinger, and Michael McDowell all winning races in the next 5 races. I think it's highly unlikely that all 3 of them do, but it's a possibility because of how good those guys are on road courses. And suddenly, if that happens, Chris Buescher is your last, or Chase Briscoe becomes your last guy in on points. Buescher, Bowman, Priest all bumped out. So this can change in a heartbeat right now. And if you're one of those guys in the last 3 spots, you have to start pushing forward now. You can't wait another 3 or 4 weeks and go, oh, it's crunch time now. You have to start moving up the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, and I think that kind of echoes just the season as a whole. Like, yes, you have the in-season tournament coming up that you want to do well in and get into, but I mean, it's just that time of year where if you are like a Brad Keselowski, you've got to go. Like, if you want a shot at this, and we know with Keselowski, his years are numbered, right? Like, he's not going to be doing this in 5 years down the line. Probably
he needs a win at this point.
Yeah. Oh, well, for sure. But to get a win, you got to get going. A win. I mean, yes, a win can come out of nowhere, but in today's racing, it's kind of like you see it happen over time. So he's got to get hot and start competing, and then the win will come.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from talking about playoffs now, and let's move on to Mexico. And first off, the big storyline: Denny Hamlin might not make it to Mexico because of the birth of his child, I believe. Once this video is live, you guys might know already whether Denny Hamlin's making it to Mexico or not, but as we record, it is still unknown. And honestly, I think if you're Denny Hamlin and you could pick a race to miss, it would probably be Mexico. I know it's going to be a very cool environment. NASCAR goes international, but Denny Hamlin is 25th in average finish on road courses of full-time drivers in the next-gen era. So I think if you're going to miss a race, he might not be too upset that this is the one he's missing.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, I mean, I'm sure he's going to miss out on like just, all the event NASCAR's making it. And first of all, I do applaud NASCAR for doing the podium thing. I know a lot of fans are like, well, that's not NASCAR, blah, 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 blah. It's like they're appealing to those fans, which is what they should do. They're going to a race that typically has F1 races and other races.
I just hope it's decorated differently. If it looks exactly like the F1 podium and it's clearly they just like copy pasted, I'm going to be upset. I want them to at least change how it looks. Yeah,
there needs to be some NASCAR flair to it. But I do like that they're appealing to those fans and kind of making it more normal for them. Something I was thinking about just on the car ride home today, I was like, I wonder if the PA announcer is going to be in English or Spanish, or I know some places do both. I think
I would bet both.
Like there's some soccer. I think there's some soccer games that do both, where they do it in like the native language and then English because it's one of the most popular languages across the world. So I'm betting on both. But there's just so many like different cool things you can think about for this weekend that just don't come up at any other race. And it's just going to make it really entertaining, really, for the whole weekend, not even just the broadcast on Sunday, the Xfinity race, all the stuff that'll come up on social media. The NASCAR Mexico Series is racing. I mean, it's going to be really fun. I'm excited.
Let me tell you, I'm looking forward to the Connor Zilic Masterclass. It's going to take place on Saturday. But let's move on to Sunday, our Cup race picks for this weekend in Mexico City. I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with dark horses this time. We're going to make you wait on the win picks. My dark horse for this week is Noah Gragson. And you might be saying, well, Noah Gragson hasn't really run well anywhere all year. And yes, you would be mostly correct. However,
why he's a dark horse.
He did finish top 10 at COTA earlier this year and was running top 5 for a decent portion of that race. So I think Noah Gragson, the aggressiveness, I think will benefit him here on a track that not a lot of drivers are used to. If you're aggressive, you're making your way through, I think it's going to pay off. That's very much Noah Gregson's driving style, and he's a pretty decent little road racer. So give me the 4 car to be the dark horse this weekend in Mexico City. As I forgot to update, I do have a dark horse top 5 now. Thank you, Ty Gibbs at Michigan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was coming, too. He was coming, but he wouldn't have gotten past my pick for the race. But my dark horse is another Ford. It's Brad Keselowski. So you can say what you want about RFK speed.
Yeah, no like elite road racer Brad Keselowski.
Look, I'm dark horse man. So we just talked about how he's got to get going now, and I think what you talk about in baseball all the time, change of scenery. Maybe go into Mexico, he'll get on La Playa, the beach, hang out, have a few cervezas, chill out, take his mind off, like, because he's got so much. He owns the team, he drives for the team, so much business stuff. Take his mind off of it, just enjoy the moment, and then maybe that inner speed that we know he has just comes out. And top 5, boom, boom, boom. Later down the summer, he's got to win. He's in the playoffs. Brad Keselowski is back. So
all right.
This really isn't a race pick. This is a season pick for Brad Keselowski to get back on the saddle.
Yeah.
I do think it starts do you think it starts in Mexico?
That's your get it together pick of the week. Is
Yeah.
on to race win picks, and I am actually doing something I haven't done in a while. It's picking Tyler Reddick at a road course, and I'm always kind of nervous to do it because I feel like sometimes he's usually fast, but is he always there at the end? And that's been a big issue for him this year in just every race, is being there at the end, despite having a ton of stage points. However, he ran great at COTA, almost won that race, is one of the best road course drivers in the next gen era of NASCAR. I think that he gets it done. He is a very drive it on the edge kind of guy, very aggressive. I think that's really going to benefit him. Notice kind of theme for the week is aggressive drivers. And I will say, I heavily considered picking Kyle Busch to win this race as well, but I'm not going to make that mistake again this time. But give me the 45 this weekend in Mexico.
Well, you mentioned, Tyler Reddick being one of the faster drivers in the next gen era. I am going with the fastest driver in the next gen era road courses, and I didn't have to delete my pick from last week. It's Chris Buescher.
I forgot he's like top 10 at all of them. That totally slipped my mind. Yeah, I was giving you a hard time before the recording about that. That's my bad.
Buescher. So Buescher has the best average finish of active drivers in the next gen, even above SVG, who only has 5 races. But we've run 16 road races, 18 if you count Chicago. In the next gen, he's got a 7.9 average finish with 15 top 20s and the win at Watkins Glen where he beat SVG. So I'm going Chris Buescher. I'm taking both RFK cars, two of the 3 RFK cars. Big RFK guy this weekend. Don't know why. I have a feeling.
The more I think about it, I actually kind of like that Chris Buescher pick. I think he will finish pretty high for sure. The more I think of it. So good pick there. I take back what I said beforehand.
All the crap he said before we started rolling this episode about you going back to back Buescher. Yeah, I'm going back to back Buescher.
Yeah, okay, fair. Now. Also, the one thing I will say, I would be curious what SVG's road course average finish is if he doesn't get put in the wall at Chicago.
It is true. He does have 5 top 20s in his 5 races. So he's finished in the top 10 or top 20 every time. He's finished in the top 10 all but that time, and he's got the win. So it'd probably be highest, I'd assume.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it'd be higher in that case. But one last thing before we wrap up NASCAR for this week. This was one of the most random stories I feel like I've seen in a long time. Dale Jr. on his podcast just came out and was like, by the way, Justin Haley's been awful. And I agree. I completely agree. I told you before recording, I almost talked about this last week after Nashville, and he was completely anonymous once again, especially now that Carson Hocevar is running top 5. Michael McDowell has poles this year, has been near the cut line for a lot of the season before kind of slipping down to 23rd in points the last couple weeks, but was 21st heading into this previous race at Michigan. Meanwhile, Justin Haley is 29th in points, only has 1 top 10 on the season, has a DNF, and has been frankly terrible. I completely agree with Dale Jr. on this. I want to get your thoughts as well, because this is a guy whose stock was incredibly high at the middle of last year when he was running super well in that Rick Ware racing car. We saw Corey LaJoie then run decent in the Rick Ware racing car. So do you think that it's something with this 7 team in particular? Because we know Rodney Childers left. Do you think it's kind of like the 07 truck for Spire and Trucks where it's maybe the black sheep of the team? This 7 car just never really seems to be on the pace no matter who's in it. And Justin Haley's stock has fallen pretty hard over the last season.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the end of last year when they kind of had the driver swap and they traded there because the expectations were super high for this kid. And we were like, everyone was like, okay, he's with Spire, which is arguably a better team and a team on the rise. And they are. There's facts that back that up. And it kind of fell flat. I mean, he ran okay at the end of last year, but this year just got off to a really horrendous start.
This is a guy who was running top 10 in Rick Ware equipment at points last summer.
Yeah. And then, obviously, there's obviously some internal stuff going on with Rodney leaving, so that's kind of, I don't know what all he was doing before he left or even if he was doing anything like the weeks leading up to that, because that was kind of like a mutual decision, so they both had to see that coming. So I'm not really sure what was going on internally with that team. And then, of course, after that, you're scrambling to find a guy to fill the role and figure out what's going to happen next. So that can slow you down. But at this point, we're so far removed from that you'd think you'd start to see like a little, especially with the performance of, you mentioned Hocevar and Michael McDowell, you'd think you'd start to see a little climb, and we just haven't. So I don't know. I just don't want to point fingers and go, oh, it's with Harrison Burton situation. But because I don't think that's what it is. I don't know.
It's definitely, I think the closest to a Harrison Burton situation is whatever the heck Riley Herbst is doing right now.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. And anyway, on the weekly Riley Herp slander, I think it's time to end the NASCAR episode for this week. So thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry it's a bit later in the week than usual, but we still wanted to get everything out for you. So F1 will be out tomorrow as you're watching this. That'll be out on Friday, getting you ready for the Canadian GP and some big scheduling news for F1 as well for next year. But that's been NASCAR, and this has been GTD for now. That's been Keegan. I've been Micah, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.